Hey guys, my name is Elijah, and the reason I'm making this video is because I really wanted to press on this Spring Valley High School incident that took place. For those who are watching that might have just been intrigued as to what exactly this was about, if you don't know, what it is about is this high school girl, an African American high school girl, who was not following the rules of the class, who had her phone out during class. And the teacher, not just the teacher, the vice principal, asked her to put the phone away, and she refused to. At which point they brought in the officer that was appointed to the school, and he also asked her to put the phone away, and told her that if she didn't, she would have to be removed from the class. And she refused to, and so he then tried to take her from the classroom. She hit him. Which was confirmed. She did hit the officer. And then he goes on to grab her, trying to pull her out of the desk. And she's, of course, resisting. And he ends up pulling her and the desk down to the ground. But doesn't stop there. He pulls her down to the ground and then starts dragging her out of the desk, throws her to the ground, and pins her down to arrest her. Now, I have multiple reasons why I want to make this video. One reason is because I didn't hear about it until today. And today is, well, technically yesterday, because I'm making this video pretty late. It was yesterday on Thursday, and I come up to my floor, and I'm hearing people talk about it, and I'm thinking it actually happened at the college that I'm going to. And when I figure out it happened at a high school, and I'm hearing that it's being turned into this racial dispute, I'm like, what? Really? So I do my own digging, I do my own research, and I'm like, why is this being turned into a racial dispute? This is not a racial dispute, and that's one of the things I want to push on. This isn't a racial dispute, okay? And I'm going to explain that, why I feel like that, in a little bit. The other thing I'm going to push on is that this thing escalated so drastically, and it could have been completely avoided had it been handled differently. And it's those two main points. I'm going to add little key points here and there. But the two main points is that, one, this is not a racial dispute. This is not about some white officer who was just like, oh, African American female? Oh, yeah, let's get her. No, this wasn't about black and white. That's not what this was about. This was about the main thing that people are really focusing on is that how this officer handled it. And that's what I want to push on next. This whole thing would not have blown so far out of proportion, and the majority of the people of America probably wouldn't even know about it if this officer had handled it differently. Okay? If this officer had not manhandled this girl, who was half his size, had not manhandled this girl, pulled her to the ground, and then dragged her out of her desk? Come on, man. Come on, guys. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm getting emotionally involved in this, or that's not what this is. I'm just purely expressing my opinion based off of what I've heard, and not just that, but the majority of what I have researched myself. And I've got my computer here with me. I've still got several tabs up that I've actually done research on. And it's just that the way he handled it was not right. You know, you don't go into this situation that clearly is just a disciplinary dispute. A girl refuses to put away her phone, is not following the school rules, is not listening to what the teacher has to say. She's become a disruption to the class. You don't go and grab someone and do all this stuff. Now, I know a lot of people, because like I said, this was being talked about on my floor, and I talked about it with several other people on my floor as well. And there are some people that were like, well, you know, after she hit the officer, a couple of people on my floor, and I know other people in America that have seen this, or even outside of America, probably like, after she hit him, I feel that the cop had the right to use whatever force she deemed necessary. And it's funny, because by law, when a cop is making an arrest, they are allowed to use whatever force they deem necessary, which does cause a lot of problems between cops and other people, because whatever force they deem necessary might not be the right one for that situation. And it goes back to the whole thing of, just because you have the right to do it, it doesn't mean that you should do it, you know? I mean, yes, the girl hit him, okay? But it's not like she just slugged him so hard that he was just like, oh my gosh, she's stronger than I thought. Oh, it's not like she pulled a gun out or a knife. This girl hit him trying to get him off of her, okay? And I've been in situations, I've seen situations like this, not to this extent, okay? But someone explained to me, because maybe I'm missing something, but why did the officer feel the need to not only pull her to the ground, but then drag her out of her chair, out of her desk, and throw her to the ground? I mean, no one can say that he didn't do that, because the footage is there from different angles. From, if the girl is where I'm at, the camera from an angle as to where this camera is here, and a camera facing in front of them. So you can't deny that he did it, because he did. Yes. Did he have the right to? Yes. He had the right to handle the situation by whatever means he deemed necessary by law. But just because he had the right to, does that mean he should have? I mean, that just goes back to the whole moral thing, ethics, that one person thinks this, another person thinks that, you know. But purely in my opinion, I'm watching this video, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. 21st century, there's everybody's got a camera, a video phone. Somebody's going to capture this. And not only that, you're a white cop doing this to an African American female. Someone is going to be like, oh my gosh, look at this. And it's going to blow into a racial dispute, which is what it started blowing into. I'm watching this, and I know that this is going to happen. And in my opinion, I just feel like he should have thought about this. He should have thought about, okay, if I handle it this way, this is probably going to happen. Before you make an arrest or decide to go into this, you've got to think about what's going to happen. And this is something that a lot of us have been taught since we were kids. Before you go and jump into something, you have to realize what your actions are going to cause. You know what I mean? I mean, my parents pushed this on me for the longest time. You know, even up until I got into college. Okay? Because I still had a hard time with that. But you got to think about what you do beforehand. Yes, the girl hit him, like I said before. And at that point, she did assault the officer. I know some of you guys watching this are probably going, no, she didn't. She did. It's actually battery, which is actually the correct way to pronounce it, I found out. A lot of us pronounce it battery, which is, if you give me a second, a little off topic. This is a battery. Correct pronunciation is battery. Back to the topic at hand. She did batter the officer, at which case it was an assault. She did assault the officer, at which case he did have the right to use whatever force he deemed necessary. Did he need to do that? No. No, dude. You did not need to do that. You could have handled the situation so differently. This was a disciplinary dispute. Okay? She refuses to leave the classroom. Suspend her. And I know I've been in multiple types of classes where it's predominantly white students in there, predominantly black students in there. So what I'm trying to say is that I've been in a lot of different classrooms in high schools with different types of races in there. And one thing that I've seen happen in all of them is that, oh, someone's going to get suspended. They're just, oh, okay, suspend me, take me out of class. All right, I don't care. Or at least they act like they don't care. Because sometimes they can get away with it because the parents won't find out. Call the parents, guys. I know good and doggone well that if my mom or my dad were called and told that I was disrupting the class and refused to put away my phone, which wasn't supposed to be out in the first place, and caused that much commotion, let's just say I would not be able to sit down for a good long time. Especially if they had to come down to the school, and especially if I got suspended. Why weren't the parents called? Parents were not called. She was allowed to go home after that. Why weren't the parents called when she refused to put the phone away and when she refused to leave the classroom, when she became a disruption to the classroom? I mean, there's protocol for this, guys. There is protocol for this. It's in the student handbooks. I know a lot of y'all don't read it. I do, so that teachers can't pull no crap on me. But why weren't the parents called? And that being said, why wasn't this handled in a different situation? These cops have the same, a lot of these high school cops have the same credentials as a cop that you'll see out every day. And that being said, they have training to handle situations like this, or similar to this. So why didn't he handle it differently? Maybe he lost his head and wasn't thinking about it, in which case that is a problem. Which is why I do believe that him getting suspended from working in the schools in that county was a good thing, because he needed to be punished for the way he handled that. Looking at this video, I was shocked by how crazily he handled the situation. He manhandled the girl, drug her on the floor, and threw her to the ground. She wasn't threatening his life. She was of no threat to him. Yet he handled the situation as if she was. I'm not saying you should have been light on her because she was a female. I'm not saying you should have been light on her because she was a kid. I'm saying he should have handled it differently because of what the situation was. Okay? That's why I'm saying this. And the next thing, I think I've gone on a good enough tangent about that. The next thing I want to move on to is that, the other reason that this could have been avoided. If she just didn't have her phone out in the first place. Or, because a lot of high school kids, even college people, they have their phones out in class. If she had just put it away when the teacher asked. This is high school, guys. Teacher sees you with your phone out and they ask you to put it away, put the phone away. If they ask you to leave the room, I promise you, if you leave the room, more than likely they will let you off with a warning and they will let you back in the classroom. No one gets called, no detention is given, no parents are notified. You just brush it off. Now, me personally, I have been in an environment where I have been the teacher. I have had to teach people, students, kids, and I have been the student in the classroom that has had their phone out, when they weren't supposed to. And the thing about it is, when I came up to my hall and they were talking about this, there was one guy saying, oh, well, other people in the class had their phones out. Why didn't he say anything to them? And a bunch of other things like that. That's not the point, guys. And for other people that are thinking about that, that's not the point. I can speak from the point of the teacher saying that, yes, we know that there are kids in the classroom that are using the phone. But we can't see every kid that has their phone out. Okay? I've known kids that can text with their hands behind their back, not looking at the phone at all. Okay? But the teacher saw her with her phone out, texting. And at that point, when he saw her and he had to stop teaching to ask her to put the phone away, she became a disruption to the class because he had to stop teaching. And then the students are going to look at who it is he's talking to. At that point, when she refused to put the phone away, she became more of a distraction. Because now people are going to be like, oh, what's going to happen now? She ain't listening to the teacher. What are you going to do, teach? What's she going to do? She refuses to leave the classroom. Then other people start getting their phones out. She becomes more of a disruption to the class. If she had put her phone away in the first place or not taken it out, things wouldn't have blown out of proportion the way it did. I mean, come on, guys. Like I said, this is high school. Why do this? Why? If it was that important of a text, I can understand that, okay? Real quick, Pete. Just take your phone, just run. Put it away. Bam. Done. Simple. But why have your phone out? If you're just texting friends, that can wait. You're in school to learn. This is a learning environment. And you're going to understand that when you get into college, because you're going to have to pay for these classes. You're in here to learn, not text other people that you can talk to after class. And if it's that serious, if it is that serious, then someone should call the office and have you come up to the office. If it's a matter of someone in your family is hurt or something like that, that should be something that the office brings you out of class to an environment where you can talk to that person alone. Because one, if that happened to me, I wouldn't want people around me when someone tells me that someone I care about is in the hospital hurt or that something happened. I would want to be somewhere where I can just focus on that. Because if I'm in a classroom and I get a text message saying my mom is in the hospital from a car accident, I'm no longer even caring about what's going on in the classroom. I'm focused on, is she okay? What happened? Where is she now? What hospital? Are you coming to get me? When are you coming? That's what I'm focused on. And at that point, yeah, it's a disruption. No, it's not a disruption to that class. It's stopping your learning because you're no longer focused on what's going on. But when other people start looking at you, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Then it becomes a disruption. But like I said, that's not even the main thing. It's the fact that if something that big happens, you don't want to be in a room full of people. I mean, I would feel like you want to be away from them when something happens, so you can focus on that and so that people don't come bothering you. I mean, that's just my personal opinion on the matter, which is just that, you know? But like I said, this whole thing just could have really been handled differently if the officer had addressed the situation for what it was, a disciplinary action, a disciplinary dispute. Yes, she did assault him, but she was no real threat to him. So there was no real reason for him to manhandle this girl to the ground, drag her out of her desk, and throw her to the floor. Was really no real reason for that. And then, if the girl had just put away her phone in the first place, none of it would have happened. None of you guys would be looking at this video, because this video would be non-existent. See what I'm saying? And that's all I'm going to push on that. If you guys have any questions about that or anything to say, just definitely leave a comment below, and I'll definitely get to that. But the last few things I want to get on, one major thing for me, the officer was fired, of course, because of the way he handled it. He was punished based on how he handled it, and is not allowed to work in any of the schools in that district until a further investigation is done. I think that is good, because after him doing that, I'm wondering, okay, is he going to do this to another student? I mean, I'm not saying, oh, he's going to put other students in jeopardy, but the way he handled that situation is wrong. So you got to wonder about the thought process that was going in his head. So when you say full investigation, I don't mean do a full background check on him. I mean make sure that he knows how to actually handle the situation should this happen again. You know what I'm saying? So I think him getting fired from that, or at least being let go until they know and he knows that he can address a situation similar to this in the correct way next time, I think that's the right thing to go. However, the girl is really not getting punished. She's getting charged for disturbing the class. And that's from one site that I saw. Other sites that I looked at, MSNBC, they didn't have, MSNBC and a couple other ones, I think it was, let me look at this right quick. Yeah, Drugger report. It didn't really have anything, but all these other sites, there's a couple more on here. And CNN was the only one that actually had anything saying that she was getting penalized for something or punished for something. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, all right. So I see that she's getting charged for disrupting the class, but she refused to listen to a teacher, disrespected the teacher, refused to listen to the principal, assaulted a police officer, Which, yes, she did, guys. She did. I don't trust every cop I meet. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the cops that are out here today, but every cop is not the same. And I just want to make that point. But even so, saying that assault is assault. You hit an officer, you are assaulting the officer. And I'm not just talking about or a little thump, no matter how solid it is. You hit an officer, that's assault. You assaulted the officer. She assaulted the officer. And resisted arrest. Guys, there's protocol for this. In your student handbooks. It may not be the same as the ones in North Carolina, but, I mean, when a teacher asks you to do something, the teacher asks you to, you have your phone out in class when it's not supposed to be. First warning, teacher's supposed to tell you to put it away. You don't put it away, that's second warning. That's ISS, in-school suspension, which could be detention or something like that. And a report. You get reported to the principal's office. And the third warning is supposed to be OSS and or more ISS with a parent conference. Fourth warning is supposed to be suspension and or expulsion. At that time, if she has to get told by the teacher several times and the principal and the officer to put the phone away or leave the classroom, and she still refuses to do it, why is she still in the classroom? Why is she still in the school at that time? She should not be in there because, one, she's a distraction in the class, and she honestly shows that she does not care. Yet all she's being charged with is disrupting the class. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. That's just my take on it. After looking at all this, watching the video several times, all these other videos that have come up several times, doing my own research. And by the way, guys, never just believe something that you hear. Always do your own research. Don't just believe what I say because you hear it or because you might agree. Do your own research so that you know. Back up what you say, okay? I've done my research. I've still got the CNN page up here. I got 4 other tabs. 3 other tabs right over here. Another one right there. Guys, do your own research, man. But why is this girl only getting charged with disrupting the class when it was a whole lot more than that? On such an upper scale of just a simple disrupting the class. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a fair punishment. And she's getting put off as the victim because of how the cop handled the situation. Can't agree with that either, guys. Not completely, at least. Yes, I do feel sorry for her because of what the cop did to her. But that shouldn't be an excuse for her not to get punished the way she should be. And a lot of her treating her as a victim. A lot of her treating her as a victim, and she's claims that she has a broken arm. One site said a concussion. Another one said a bruised head. Other bruises and cuts. And I do say claimed because no injuries have been reported. Yet her attorney says that she has been injured. So if she's been injured, why have no injuries been reported? I mean, that's not really something you hide, especially seeing as how the attorney then said that she has to go around with a cast on her arm. Well, if she's got a cast on her arm, why have no injuries been reported? That's not saying an injury was reported. I've gone around with a sling on my arm, and people will think I broke my arm. Come on, guys. Just because someone's got a cast or a sling, it don't mean they're injured. They could be faking it for all you know. Don't just believe what you see. And that's what I'm saying. This girl should be getting punished based on what she did, not based off of the situation, not based off of what the officers did. Yes, I feel sorry for her because of what the officer did, because what he did was not right at all. But she disrupted the class, refused arrest, disrespected the teacher, the principal, and the officer. I mean, come on, guys. I guess it just depends on who the principal is, what attorney you have, I guess, since this has turned into that kind of thing. I don't know, guys. Like I said, this is purely my opinion, you know. I just don't believe that it should have been blown up as big as it had been, as it was, and that it just could have been all avoided if the cop had handled it differently, and if the girl had just not had her phone out in the first place. This whole thing blew up so drastically, got turned into partially a racial dispute, and it's not what it is at all, guys. I just really wanted to point that out and express my views on that. Some of you guys may believe what I say. Some of you guys may think I'm BSing. Some of you guys might not care what I have to say. Great. Awesome. I do not care. This is for me to express my opinion and what I believe on the matter. If you guys do not agree, that is great. If you guys do agree, that is great. Do your own research on the matter. Just don't go off, look at a video and say, oh, white cop, black cop, racist, man. Come on, man. Don't just go off believing something that you see off of a video. Do research, guys. Do some research. Alright? It deserves that. This kind of situation deserves that. Alright? If you guys have any questions, if you guys want me to hit on anything, or if you guys feel I've missed something, please leave a comment below and let me know. Don't be that person to leave a crazy, rude, or inappropriate comment in my box. You will be reported. I do not accept that, and it is childish. Alright? But besides that, I really hope that some of you guys can understand where I'm coming from. And I hope to understand where other people are coming from as well. Because I really want to understand where a lot of these other views are coming from. This is Elijah signing off. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.